Hi, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. I know many of you are interested to learn more about the BRICS bloc, the latest developments, and how this will impact the United States dollar and inherently, of course, your savings, your investments, your quality of life. Today, I have some major news to share with you. This is, of course, not something that you would hear in the media. Nobody's really reporting on it, and there's a good reason why. The official BRICS Bank, the New Development Bank, is in the process of admitting Saudi Arabia as its 9th BRICS member state. This is a major move that will considerably strengthen the BRICS alliance. And of course, we have to understand that for the United States currency, this is not good news because effectively the US is losing its biggest ally in the Middle East. This is a big disadvantage. It is a fail. And what makes this even worse is that the US is losing its biggest ally in that region to China. As you all understand and know, Saudi Arabia has been our partner in that region since the 1950s, I believe. It is because of this partnership that the petrodollar exists. Remember that back in the 1970s, to be precise, in 1973, the petrodollar system was created as the result of a deal between the United States and Saudi Arabia. Both countries agreed to price and to trade oil in the US dollars, and it meant that any country in the entire world who wished to purchase oil from Saudi Arabia would have to first purchase the American dollars. Well, it was a genius idea that benefited the United States, and historically, a significant portion of the US global standing has been due to this deal. Well, as we see now, it is falling apart very quickly. By the way, if you haven't already, I really hope that you consider subscribing to my channels on YouTube and on Rumble. Like the video so more people see it, and check out my free newsletter that is available on Substack. You will find more content there. According to Financial Times, the addition of the kingdom would reinforce ties between the bank, which was established by the world's biggest developing economies as an alternative to Western-led Bretton Woods institutions, and the world's second largest oil producer. There are several countries that have already applied to join the BRICS bloc. Saudi Arabia and Iran are among them. More have expressed interest but haven't applied officially. I believe there are 19 countries that are expressing their interest actively. According to Bloomberg, the BRICS will make a decision later this year, but Saudi Arabia is a very likely new member. Financial Times also reported that both China and the Saudis are seeking closer ties. It is beneficial to both sides. It will be really interesting to see what happens to the status of the dollar as the global reserve currency, as China is using its yuan to purchase oil and liquefied natural gas from the Saudis. China's oil imports are expected to be at an all-time high this year. Let's take a look at the numbers. China's oil demand topped 16 million barrels per day in April, setting a new all-time high just a month after it broke through the 15 million barrels per day mark for the first time. The surge came as refiners took advantage of healthy domestic refining margins, which have been bolstered by imports of cheap Russian crude feedstock. In terms of what this is actually worth, the United States will be missing out on tens of billions of dollar-denominated oil transactions. For example, Insider and Reuters are reporting that in 2022 alone, China paid $88 billion worth, denominated in the yuan, of course, to the Russian Federation for commodities. And that number is shaping up to be much, much higher this year in 2023. In addition to that, it has been reported that Pakistan is now going to purchase oil from Saudi Arabia using the yuan, not the dollar, but the yuan. Pakistani minister said, "We hope that if this becomes a long-term arrangement, it will become a rupee and Chinese currency transaction. And perhaps that currency swap needs to become larger in order for us to take advantage of other opportunities that might arise." Financial Post further explains that this deal would further help China's ambitions to take the yuan global to chip away at the greenback's dominance. It would also offer some relief to Pakistan, which is heavily reliant on energy imports and is trying to revive a stalled $6.5 billion bailout package with the IMF, that, as we know, is located in Washington, to avoid a default. Think about it this way: Saudi Arabia is the world's largest crude oil exporter. According to the US Energy Information Administration, China is the world's biggest oil importer. So the biggest oil exporter and the biggest oil importer just made a deal of the century. The second largest oil producer is Rosneft, which is Russia's government oil company. The other major oil player is, of course, Brazil, and it is one of the founding members of the BRICS bloc. So all of these countries that I just named have already started trading using their own currencies, not the United States dollar. With Saudi Arabia now joining the BRICS bloc, you can imagine that the strength of the dollar will continue to decline. The BRICS Bank was actually established by the world's leading developing countries. One of its short-term goals is to lend approximately 20% of its reserves, which is approximately $30 billion denominated in their currencies, of course, for infrastructure projects in developing nations. Typically, we would expect the World Bank or the IMF to do that in exchange for certain policies being implemented, for example, but now the new development bank is replacing it and allowing these developing nations to pay back in their own currencies, which would only help strengthen them, of course, in the long run. Now, a quick reminder to check out our sponsor. Today it is ExpressVPN. It is my recommended VPN or virtual private network service. I use it every single day. You know, so much of our private information, our passwords, medical records, banking information is online now that we have to ensure that it is protected. Go ahead and claim your 3 full months of free service when you sign up using the link shared in the description below. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, you might also like another video that I recently uploaded with more details on the BRICS Bank and the BRICS bloc. You will find those videos linked below. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a like and consider sharing it. It goes a long way on YouTube and Rumble. Subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you back for my next one. And if you enjoy reading, I recently started a newsletter that you might find interesting as well. I will see you in my new one tomorrow. Take care.